Good morning. And for those of you who are familiar with the greetings, which I'm sure many of you are, Assalamu alaikum, which simply means peace be unto you. We're going to start our reading on page 3. Page 3 at the top of the page. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them, an expert in the law, tested him with this question: "Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." Holy Bible, New International Version, Matthew chapter 22, verses 34 through 40. On the middle of page 3. Only love transcends all barriers. When you are united with God in true love, you have dominion over all of God's creation, both physical and spiritual. When you live completely for others, you are reaching the very essence of God's own being. God's vibrations become your vibrations. God's feelings are naturally transmitted to you. Living this way, you become a resonant body of God's heart and love. As much as two tuning forks resonate together, you and God always resonate together. That is the ultimate, original state of the human being. When you achieve that state, the love of God becomes your love. The life of God becomes your life. And the blood lineage of God becomes your blood lineage. The world that God created becomes your world. We are to share the love of God with all things in heaven and earth. We are to be citizens of the kingdom of heaven with the heart of Paris. Speech at the 11th World Media Conference, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, April 10th, 1990 in Moscow, Russia. "Never tell a child," said George MacDonald, "you have a soul. Teach him you are a soul. You have a body." As we learn to think of things always in this order, that the body is but the temporary clothing of the soul, our views of death and the unbefittingness of customary mourning will approximate to those of friends of earlier generations. The British Friend, a 1892 British Quaker periodical, quote often attributed to C.S. Lewis. In the middle of page 4. Our work for peace must begin within the private world of each one of us. To build for a man or world without fear, we must be without fear. To build a world of justice, we must be just. And how can we fight for liberty if we are not free in our own minds? How can we ask others to sacrifice if we are not ready to do so? Only in true surrender to the interest of all can we reach that strength and independence, that unity of purpose, that equity of judgment which are necessary if we are to measure up to our duty to the future as men of a generation to whom the chance was given to build in a time of world peace. Dag Hammarskjöld, Swedish diplomat, Secretary General, United Nations from 1953 to 1961. The greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. Ronald Reagan, 40th President of the United States, the bottom of page 4. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Serenity Prayer, Reinhold Niebuhr, 1892 to 1971. In the middle of page 5. Make yourself a tuning fork, resonating with and vibrating along God's frequency. Resonate with God's unselfishness. Always share with others the best you have. Give freely, and you will prosper. Unpack the dirty elements inside yourself and cleanse them. Open up the baggage of your mind and check what you find there. Don't harbor selfish feelings. Practice the virtue of meekness. If you push yourself to develop these attitudes, then the spirit world will descend to assist you. The key word for a life that can draw spiritual support is respect. Respect all things as holy things. Respect all men as holy men. Respect yourself as a holy person. Respect your mind as holy. Respect your body as holy. Pay deep respect to all people, no matter what kind of person they may be. How to Gain Spiritual Health. Reverend Sun Myung Moon, November 27, 1978. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeats so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it. Maya Angelou, American author, poet, and civil rights activist, 1928 to 2014. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller, American author and activist, deaf and blind, 1880 to 1968. Now to page 7. At the top of the page. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Holy Bible, New International Version, Genesis chapter 1, verses 27 and 28. The middle of page 7. What is marriage? Why is marriage important? Marriage is important because it is the road to finding love. It is the road to creating life. It is the road where the life of a man and a woman unite into one. It is the place where a man's lineage combines with a woman's lineage. History emerges through marriage, and from marriage, nations appear and an ideal world begins. Without marriage, there is no meaning to the existence of individuals. Nations nations and an ideal world. This is the formula. A man and a woman must become absolutely one. Parents and children must become absolutely one with God, love God, and live and die with God. When they die and go to the spirit world, that is the place called heaven. But there has been no individual, family, or nation which has fulfilled that ideal. The world and humankind have not established that ideal. In Search of the Origin of the Universe, Reverend Sun Myung Moon, August 1st, 1996, Washington, D.C. At the top of page 8. The fact is that the family is a universal and irreplaceable community, rooted in human nature and the basis for all societies at all times. As the cradle of life and love for each new generation, the family is the primary source of personal identity, self-esteem, and support for children. It is the first and foremost school of life, uniquely suited to teach children integrity, character, morals, responsibility, service, and wisdom. The state's foremost obligation is to respect, defend, and protect the family as an institution. Dr. Wade Holman, Assistant Secretary for Children and Families, the Department of Health and Human Services, 2001 through 2007. Page 10 in the middle of page 10. Once an individual achieves the unity of mind and body, true love emanates from that person. Next, a man and a woman, both of whom have perfected mind and body unity, marry and truly love one another as husband and wife. Thus, they become true parents connected with the true love of God. This gives them the ability to truly love their children. The true love of God resides within the mind and body of a true husband and wife. When such a couple becomes one, children are born. That is how a complete ideal family is formed. Essentially, there are four great loves: parents' love, brothers and sisters' love, husband and wife's love, and children's love. True family is the smallest unit where these four great loves can be experienced. This true family is the foundation of true human love and true happiness. It is the place from which true life and true lineage sprout forth. It is the training ground and the school of love that prepares people for life in a peaceful, prosperous, and loving society, nation, and world. True family and world peace. Reverend Sun Myung Moon, June 11, 1998. The Lord has decreed that you be kind to parents, whether one of them both attain old age in your lifetime. Do not say to them a word of contempt, nor repel them, but address them in terms of honor. And out of kindness, lower to them the wing of humility and say, My Lord, bestow on them thy mercy, even as they cherished me in childhood. The Holy Quran, Surah 17, verse 23. The family is the foremost school for the young, as well as the best home for the elderly. The family constitutes the best social capital. The family is the great blessing, the great gift of this God with us, who did not want to abandon us to the solitude of a life without others, without challenges, without a home. Pope Francis, 2015. And the bottom of page 11. In the ideal human society, true love that always seeks to give to others forms the basis for all relationship. Such true love is motivated by the experience of the love of true parents. The true love of parents, which is in turn rooted in God's true love, is the means to nurture a child's character to its full, completed state. A man and woman nurtured in this way, and each possessing completed character, come together as husband and wife to form a family, where they will convey true love to their children. This is the original order of creation. The ideal world on earth is built when one individual possessing completed character is able to expand true love in ever-widening concentric circles of family, society, nation, and world. Our world today has a different origin than the ideal world I have just described. Today, we have an expansion of the results of the human fall, and an event in which human beings departed from the most important of the principles of God's creative act. That is the discipline of love. Having turned against the order of God's creation, our world today places value in man-made organizations and structures and in the order of law. These by themselves are incapable of raising up ideal individuals, families, and peoples, absolute values, and the reassessment of the contemporary world. By Reverend Sun Myung Moon, August 23rd, 1991, the 18th ICUS Founders Address. And thank you for honoring and allowing me to read these words.